Switching from Windows does not need to be hard. Whether you're looking for better performance, more privacy, are just curious, or want to get away from Microsoft constantly annoying you with pop-ups, reminders to set up OneDrive, switch to Edge, and oh please make it stop, then you've come to the right place. In this video, we'll go over some of the most common mistakes that new Linux users make, how you can avoid them, and ultimately get the most out of your system. Let's get into it. This video was made possible by channel members of our community. If you want to participate in selecting new video topics, see what's going on behind the scenes, and gain access to various tips and tricks, then please make sure to check out the join button or the link in the video description down below. Let's start off with the first mistake: expecting Linux to behave like Windows. Linux is not a free version of Windows. While Windows is built for consistency and integration into Microsoft's commercial ecosystem, Linux focuses on flexibility, openness, and user choice. And this is a very important thing to remember, because many try out Linux for the first time, try to replicate Windows in it, which frankly can be done, but you are for once missing out on many of the awesome and in some way even improved workflows, while also working against your own desktop. On Linux, we do not always have one standardized way to do things, on purpose. We have visual options called desktop environments, distributions that each have their own update cycles, and customization options to make your PC behave just the way you want to. Just like constantly comparing macOS or Android to Windows would cause frustration, so would comparing Linux to them. But if you give Linux a chance on its own terms, then you discover that it sits basically between all of these options, and you can decide in which direction you want to go for yourself. Choosing the wrong desktop environment. Desktop environments are the visual presentation of your Linux PC. They have a certain default layout, unique features and workflows, often come with their own set of software that nicely integrates to them, but in the end, they all can still run the same software. However, the choice of a desktop environment for new users is often influenced by biases, wrong or exaggerated performance claims, and of course by criticizing the lack of features that you might never use. You typically have the big four. GNOME, a workspace-oriented desktop that is the default on Ubuntu and many workstation-oriented distributions. KDE Plasma, which has a more Windows look to it, is the default on Valve's SteamOS 3 and many gaming distros. Cinnamon, which is the default on Linux Mint, one of the distros claimed to be one of the best for beginners. And then there's of course XFCE, the lightweight option. Yeah sure, there are of course many more, and also tiling window managers that have their very own workflow. But the thing is, do not choose a desktop environment because someone said so. Each of these desktops have their own feel to it, and while sure, one desktop environment might have a slight margin in terms of gaming performance or resource usage on low power systems, at the end of the day, you should just use what you enjoy. And by the way, each desktop can be customized anyway. I've used Windows essentially all my life up until I switched to Linux. I don't like Apple's macOS, and I heavily rely on a mouse-based workflow instead of constantly having two hands on my keyboard. And yet I chose the GNOME desktop environment, because as a Windows user I just felt much more comfortable with it than on KDE Plasma. Wild, right? Just try out one desktop, if you don't like it, try another one or try to customize it. You are the one that chooses, not someone else, and that's the beauty of it all. And yeah, the same can be said about this dropping too soon. It might just be your desktop environment. Flatpaks, snaps or system packages, and why it doesn't really matter? Linux is not Windows, we've covered that already, but why is it so complicated to install software? What are these Flatpaks that everyone is talking about? What are snaps? Is there a difference between using deb and rpm packages instead? Why is it all so weird? Well, don't do it the Windows way and search for programs manually. For most software, all you have to do is to open up the software store, search for the application you want and just press install. Linux is repository based, which means that you don't have to manually look up download links, avoid malicious web pages that try to trick you, or make your way through a setup file. You just download the software from one of several URLs that are handled behind the scenes by your package manager and not think about it. And remember, because Linux is not Windows, the software store is actually something that you want to try, rather than the Windows Store. Now, will every software just work? Well, from my own experiences, typically yes, but if you run into a problem, boop, switch the version and try again. Will some software insist on making it difficult to install? Well, yeah, but it's often exaggerated, only affects some people. And if you have been working in IT in companies that produce stuff, then let me tell you, Windows installers are also not really a silver bullet. My general guideline is don't think about it too much. Install it and just use it. You'll see how it goes. Trying to install Windows applications the hard way. Now this point is not really about downloading a package file similar to an exe on Windows, since we already covered that. But I generally mean to install Windows applications the hard way by trying to force .exe applications to run under compatibility layers like Wine. Now, Wine is great. It's the base for Proton, Valve's own compatibility layer to run Windows software on Linux. But it does not mean that every application will work. Configuration tools for your headsets, mice, keyboards and other exotic hardware probably won't, because they talk to, well, Windows drivers, not Linux ones. The thing is, you can make some Windows applications work on Linux. Game launchers, for example, are usually not a problem, and if one occurs, then it gets usually patched very quickly. For the rest, you should not try to force it through a compatibility layer, but be open to trying out alternatives if they exist. And if something does not have any, maybe this is just a temporary problem, and the next time you buy hardware, you are considering Linux support as well. This kind of leads me into my next point: not checking compatibility. Now this one is often misunderstood and a bit more complicated. How do you make sure that if you switch to Linux that your hardware is fully supported? My general tip here is, most Linux installers come with a so-called live boot environment. You put this environment on a USB stick, choose it in the boot options, and you can just try out Linux before actually installing it. If some things like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth are not working in here, then now you can look up if that is a known issue with your laptop or PC hardware. If everything works, then you know that Linux itself is already compatible with your PC. So generally, try out Linux first before installing it, because if there is a major incompatibility that just has no fix, then you can just hop back into Windows, no problem. And last but not least, overutilizing the command line. It's feared by newcomers, and it's wild actually. Online tutorials often use commands to configure their system, fix issues or download software. If you want to resize a disk, command line. If you want to change your network settings, command line. If you want to simply install a program, command line. Well, while the command line is universal across all desktop environments, that does not mean that your desktop environment might not already have these features. The most popular ones have very powerful tools, often even pre-installed, that can do most things that the average user needs. The only thing that you need to consider here is, instead of searching for just how to do things on Linux or how to do things on your specific distro, to maybe search for how to do things on this desktop environment first. I can guarantee you that if you have to frequently use the command line, that you're overusing it. In the 4 years that I've been using Linux, I only use the command line on these occasions. Installing DaVinci Resolve, because the program is just not built for modern distribution and requires fixing, or to debug a program if I'm messing with my system for fun. But that is not something that the average user will need. The need to use the command line is often a mix of not checking system compatibility like discussed, the lack of search for desktop environment solutions, or because those that are already familiar with Linux like to go the easy way, because it has become easy for them. The average Joe probably doesn't need the command line on Linux. But then again, everyone's experiences are different. What I've presented in today's video are just some of the things that I noticed personally and might not cover every single use case. So why don't you let us know about your experiences with Linux? Have you already tried it? And if so, how was it? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you want to support the channel, make even better videos, then please feel free to check out our membership program, as well as our online shop, whereas each sale helps support various open source projects. If you have liked this video, then please make sure to show it with a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, so that you don't miss out on any future Linux videos just like this one. I hope you had a blast watching and that I get to see you again soon. But in the meantime, all that's left to say now is good morning, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. I'll see you around.